What's up everybody, my name is Justin and welcome back to the BTR Garage. We have a problem today, an exhaust problem of all things, and it's likely gonna require changing out a component on the exhaust system. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So for the last few months or so, I've had an issue with my exhaust, and you guys are probably wondering, is it the new Dezod Motorsports exhaust? And no, there's nothing wrong with that. The Dezod Motorsports exhaust is perfectly fine, and I'm loving that. The issue I have been having is an exhaust leak. I think I started hearing it maybe 4 or 5 months ago. It's been a while, and it just kind of sounds like a light hissing sound or fluttering sound under acceleration and things. And inside the cabin here you could hear it. You couldn't really hear it anywhere else, of course. But I noticed it. I'm really in tune to things like that, and whenever my car sounds different or sounds weird, I can usually tell what it is or if something is going on. But anyways, when I was under the car maybe a few months back, 4 months back, I took a look at the front pipe, the Burke front pipe with the high flow cat on it, and the hanger, which I'll show you in a little bit when we get down there. The hanger where the back of the front pipe mounts up to the car has started cracking on the pipe section where it was welded into the pipe. So there was a crack in there and a pretty decent sized hole, and what I did for the short term was I covered it up with JB Weld, and that worked pretty good. Got rid of the sound and everything was normal for a little bit. More recently I started hearing the sound again, so either that JB Weld came off or there's another hole somewhere, and I got to get under the car and check still. But I took that opportunity to look into different front pipes for the car, and we do have a new pipe that we'll get out of the box here in a little bit. I didn't go with another Burke high flow catted front pipe because the car is loud. Even with the Dezod Motorsports exhaust, it is still pretty loud. And at my last autocross race, I actually blew 96 dBs on the sound meter, which is a warning. It's not over the limit. The limit is 100 dBs at most sites, most of our local sites, and even the national level sites. But I wanted to be safe, and instead of buying an entire new exhaust system again, because I've already been through many exhausts and I don't want to get another one, and I love the Dezod Motorsports exhaust, I picked up a JDL Ultra Quiet front pipe. So this front pipe actually has, in addition to a high flow cat, a second resonator in it, and we'll take a look at it in a second. So I'm hoping with that new resonator and a new cat in there in that new front pipe, that'll help lower the sound a little bit as well. So let's go ahead and get that thing out of the box. We got to get the car up and inspect the old front pipe as well, see if it has another hole in it, or if that JB Weld held up, or if I'm just hearing things and there's really not an exhaust leak after all. But let's get it apart. We're gonna put on the JDL front pipe anyways and then see how it sounds. All right, we have the Burke front pipe out on the bench here behind us. Let's go ahead and take a look at both of the pipes side by side. So obviously very similar in design. Both pipes have the high flow catalytic converter, which is this guy up here. On the JDL pipe, they welded that directly to the flange, whereas on the Burke pipe, there's a little section right here welded in. And then obviously the biggest difference is the resonator on the Ultra Quiet JDL front pipe down here, whereas the Burke pipe does not have one. Hopefully that'll bring down the sound a little bit, but this JDL Ultra Quiet pipe is actually very nice, pretty well made, nice welds throughout. You guys know how I am with welds on piping like this, and they even have their own little logo down here that might be upside down. But nicely built, and I was looking around on the Burke front pipe. Here you can see where I have the JB Weld. It looks like there was a little bit of exhaust blow by on it in certain areas, so I think it was still leaking. And where this thing was leaking at before was basically at this flange where this bracket was welded. It was leaking around both sides of it on this one here where the JB Weld is, and that stuff looks kind of brittle actually. So it's in pretty good shape still. That stuff is pretty tough, and some did come off on the bottom there. But overall seemed to do its job, but at any rate, some exhaust was still getting around that thing one way or another. And one more thing we're gonna do, as always, when I put parts on my car, is we're gonna weigh this thing real quick. I think it's right around 9 or 10 pounds. We'll weigh the Burke pipe first, but we'll throw the camera up on the stand here and start weighing these guys before we put it back on the car. All right, let's check out the Burke front pipe first here. So 7.8 pounds. That was pretty consistent with the other weigh-ins I did. I was getting around 7.6, 7.5. So roughly 7.5 pounds for the Burke front pipe. All right, we're ready to weigh up the JDL Ultra Quiet front pipe. So 9.8 pounds, and that is exactly what I got on my other 2 tests off camera. So 9.8 pounds for the JDL Ultra Quiet, and 7.6, 7.5 pounds for the Burke front pipe. So the JDL Ultra Quiet is 2.5, not quite 2.5 pounds heavier. We'll call it 2 pounds heavier. And obviously because it has the resonator on one end and the high flow cat on the other, whereas the Burke pipe only has the high flow cat. So I'm not gonna lose my mind over 2 pounds. We're adding weight to the exhaust, not a big deal. This should be a better pipe overall. Let's go ahead and get it back on the car. All right, everybody, we'll go ahead and take the car for a spin, see how it sounds. Now, I'm not expecting a dramatic change in sound, but it already feels a little more muffled. Which is nice. The Burke pipe had a bit of a raspy sound to it, and I'm now noticing that after getting the JDL pipe on the car. We'll get through the neighborhood and then get out onto the main streets here where we can hear it a little bit better. But so far, really noticing actually a good bit of difference. Not sure if you guys can hear it all right over the mic or not. We'll see if I can put maybe some clips of the Dezod Motorsports exhaust when I still had the Burke pipe on it, so you have that to compare to. Alright, so there's definitely a little bit of a change. That wasn't much power in the car. We'll do that here, but now you can tell the difference. It's definitely, I'm trying to find the words for the difference. It's a smoother exhaust note. Not quite as tinny and metallic, if that makes sense, than the Burke pipe was. Obviously the JDL has an additional resonator in it, where the Burke pipe just has the catalytic converter. I'll go ahead and turn around and try it once again, but my first impressions are this thing is pretty nice. Is definitely noticeable, and you don't notice these things until after you change out the part, of course. And the exhaust note as a whole is definitely quieter, and I do like it. Like I said, that kind of raspy, tinny type of metallic sound is gone. That's probably because of the lighter weight of the Burke pipe, so maybe thinner tubing, thinner walls, and again, like I mentioned, the JDL pipe has the extra resonator to help quiet things down. But I think the best word to describe it is probably that the exhaust tone overall is just smoother. Smoother and cleaner. I'm not sure. I kind of suck at describing exhaust sounds, but we'll go ahead and give it another run on the street here. Yeah, I like it. It sounds really good, actually. This was a pretty good upgrade. Sacrifice a couple pounds of weight for a little bit better sound, in my opinion. In some ways, I kind of wish my Burke pipe now had broken a long time ago, so I would have replaced it, but oh well, not a big deal. We got it replaced. The JDL Ultra Quiet is on the car, and I am enjoying it. It'll be cool to see what it sounds like when we're actually out on the racetrack going full throttle, or the racetrack in the autocross course going full throttle all the time for the most part, and hearing the new sound that we get out of the system. Alright guys, we're going to wrap this one up, the JDL Ultra Quiet front pipe installation. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope it was helpful. If you have any thoughts or comments, please leave them down below. Like always, I'd love to hear from you. Stick around for more good stuff coming up, guys. Stay fast out there. I am checking out. We'll talk to you all next time.